Well, hello friends, happy hump day to you. Hope you're having a great day today, and I trust that you're believing God for good things all day long. Welcome to Wednesday's edition of Take 5. Hey, well, this week by now you should know what we're talking about. We're dealing with the subject, peculiar people at work. We have learned that the workplace is a soul-rich environment that God has given us. He expects us as believers, He expects us to let the light of God be seen in our lives by our actions, by our words, by our responses, by the way we even serve at our job. God expects us to allow the life of Christ to be seen in us. And that's the beginning stages of an open door whereby that we can win people to Jesus Christ. It starts by them seeing Christ in us. And then when they see Christ in us, then that at some point will open a door for us to be able to talk to them about this hope that we have that they do not have as unbelievers. That is, if they can see that hope in our life at all. That's where it's got to start. They've got to see that in us before it's going to ever open the door for us to talk to them about salvation. I want to read our text. It's 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, 11, and 12. It says, "You're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of Him that called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts that war against the soul." We're strangers and pilgrims. We're peculiar in that respect because our citizenship's not of this world. It's from heaven. Verse number 12 from the Passion Translation says, "Live honorable lives as you mix with unbelievers." And we do it every day. There's no escaping it, and we're not supposed to escape it. We're not supposed to be that separate from the world, not in that way. Our lives are supposed to be separate, but we are still supposed to cohabitate with them. Did I make that clear? Do you get what I'm saying? We're supposed to live separate lives, but we're supposed to be mixed with the world so that we can have an effect on them. Live honorable lives as you mix with unbelievers, even though they accuse you of being evildoers, for they'll see your beautiful works and have reason to glorify God in the day He visits us. So this text points to the idea of the everyday believer evangelizing this gospel, telling this gospel, beginning with our lifestyle, and then it gives way to words, and this is what makes us peculiar people. All evangelism we've learned by now is not going to happen at church, and it doesn't happen from a pulpit. That's the minority of evangelism that happens there. The majority of it is going to happen in the workplace, it's going to happen at home, and it's going to happen wherever we interact with people socially. We're dealing with the idea of the workplace because everybody works, or at least we should. Everybody works, and it's an arena that God has given us where we can make a difference in people's life. God uses that workplace arena for three various reasons. One, to maintain the structure of the whole world. Number two, to provide for our future and our families. And thirdly, He uses the workplace as a platform for us to win the lost to Jesus Christ. That's what He created for, because God knew that we were going to spend so much of our life working around people that don't believe like us, people that don't worship like us, people that don't even know us, people that are in need of Christ. He knew that, and so that's why He instilled this in there. It's an opportunity. Work is an opportunity to merge Christianity into society, because we're called as believers to be salt and light and leaven. And we don't just do that on Sunday, we do that every day of the week, especially at the workplace. So what we are striving to do is to glorify God while we're at work, because 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whatever you do, do it to the glory of God, whatever it is. So that's what we're striving to do. The questions we're trying to answer is, how do we glorify God in the workplace? And how does God expect us to serve on our job? And we've stumbled on some things in Ephesians and in Colossians that's given us a pretty good list of things that we need to do. Already we have discovered that we should obey our employer with a right perspective. We should obey them with respect and fear. We should work with excellence as unto the Lord. We learned all that in Ephesians 6:5. Now I want to go to Ephesians 6:6 and see what it has to say. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. So basically he's saying don't work to be seen, and do not work only when they're watching you. So this point of this lesson is do not work for eye service. Do not work. Don't work just to be seen, and don't just work when they're watching you. Work as a person that is striving for excellence. Colossians 3:22 says, slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is on you to curry their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. So the Spirit-filled employee doesn't just work hard when the employer's watching. You give an hour of excellent work for every hour of pay that you receive, because that's what God intends for you to do. If we only work hard when we're being watched, not only are we not serving with excellence, but we're actually stealing from the people that are paying us. So Paul concludes that we shouldn't just work diligently to gain their approval. We should not just work diligently when they're watching us. We work diligently every hour possible, even though it's secular work, because we're doing it as unto the Lord, and we know God is always watching us. That actually brings up another point I want to deal with today. Work with expectation of God's judgment and reward. Ephesians 6:7-8 says, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do. So at the end of the day, you've got to realize that while you may draw a paycheck with some company's name on it, you've got to work knowing that God is going to reward you for what you are doing. That's the most important thing. I'm working as unto the Lord, and I know He's always watching. That's why I don't ever just work when the boss is around. I give an hour's work for an hour's pay, and if it's 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day, that's what an honest Spirit-filled believer does. And that is the beginning of allowing people to see that Christ does live in the... Don't be shortchangers and cheaters and those type that lay down on the job when the boss is not around. Let the life of Christ be seen. Christ wouldn't work that way. And now that He dwells in you, you shouldn't either. It's important that we do these things, friend. I know it seems like it's minuscule, that it's something tiny, but it's important that we do these things, friend, because this is where people are seeing the life of Christ. They've got to see it in us beyond Sunday and beyond church. They've got to see that we are good, godly people every day of the week. And this will open a door for us to be able to talk to them about the life that they live and the life that Christ wants to bring them into. Well, hey, I got to get out of here. It's been good being with you today. I look forward to being with you on Thursday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you. Have a great and glorious day.